Rapist and child trafficker Gerhard Ackerman gets 12 life terms for 700 counts of rape, human trafficking and attempted murder. Our reporter Zola Sholwana joins us from the court. Zola, very good afternoon. A disturbing conversation that you and a few other reporters had with Gerhard Ackerman, saying that he hasn't really thought about his feelings. Talk to us about the outcome of this very disturbing case.
Well, Mpho, first of all, today was quite an interesting case because Mr. Gerhard still believes that he is innocent. You might have seen that he has actually spoken to the judge asking to come before court for a reapplication, saying that there was a bit of an unfairness when it comes to his case. And when we did a Q&A session with him, he mentioned that he did not sexually violate anyone. We spoke about the minors, the under 16-year-olds, the evidence that was brought before court, he still maintains that he is innocent. Of course, we spoke to the National Prosecuting Authority, that they mentioned that they will obviously make sure that they oppose that application, because this will mean that if the court allows him, to reapply and also be granted a permission to actually stand before court again, then that will also victimize all those children that have had to come before court and, revisit their old wounds. And now I'm joined by, a woman that is actually part of an organization that stands for children, and also a woman in this case. Ma, thank you very much for your time. One could say this is a befitting, punishment or a sentence for Mr. Ackerman.
It is a befitting sentence. We're very happy with the sentence he got, but we're also very happy that the issue of boys being violated is squarely on the table now. What this case has done is to say to boys, you can come forward and tell your story. Because we find that it's mainly girls who come forward. Boys are left with the shame, left with them. Today was a day when the shame went to the perpetrator, where the pedophile himself is walking away with the shame. And we're saying to boys all over the country, do come forward if anything like this happens to you. The courts are now ready for you.
You might have heard that Mr. Ackerman still maintains that he's innocent, even after, evidence has been brought before court. Some victims have actually, spoken. He says people don't know the real him.
Ackermans doesn't seem to take this thing seriously. He thinks this is some kind of a game. He wants a retrial. He's been denying everything with all the evidence piled up against him. He has been claiming his innocence, so there's nothing new, really. The only thing is that he's escalating it even further now to say he wants a retrial. He wants to re-traumatize children for no apparent reason, because it's evident that he did all of these things with, unfortunately, his friend is the Honorable Advocate Kennedy, who decided to commit suicide. It would have been very important for him to be here today. We're hoping that he is serving his sentence somewhere else in another life.
Thank you very much for your time, ma'am. Now, Mr. Ackerman seems to be awaiting quite a long future behind bars. But like I mentioned, he still says, when we spoke to him he says 3 months is not a long time. So basically he says he doesn't see himself, spending the life sentences that were granted to him by the judge. So obviously the court will consider his reapplication, and then on the 30th of November he'll be given a chance to stand before court and also mention the issues that he raised, one of them being the illegality that was mentioned when the case proceedings went on. But overall, people were here, organizations were here that are representing children and women to say, and also young boys, as she has mentioned, to say it's good that the judge set an example, or the law set an example with Mr. Ackerman, to show that if you do something of that sort, here we're talking about over 700 counts that have been presented before him that he still believes that he is not guilty of. And, Paul, what's interesting is that when you speak to him, it seems like he's not aware of the seriousness, of these accusations and all that he's been accused of. And he says people don't know the real him. Now, when he's being asked who's the real Mr. Ackerman, because the one that we know or the public knows at this point is this man who's a pedophile. I mean, there's even a psychologist who said he's not fit enough to be around kids, and they don't see him as someone that could possibly be rehabilitated and go back into society and work with children.
Yeah, absolutely, Zola Sholwana. The ways of a manipulative and cunning man as described by the judge. Of course, let's leave it there for now.